Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chairperson. I'm J Patel from the Department of Transport. I'm the Acting Chief Director for Public Transport Regulation within the department. I've been requested to speak on the establishment of the National Public Transport Regulator, which is a requirement in terms of the National Land Transport Act 2009. I have so my presentation is actually very short. I'll deal with the background, the powers and functions of the NPTR, the structure of the NPTR, the regulatory committee and the kind of staff formation within that structure, the options for inspections or monitoring of, in particular, the tourism transport services, the role of traffic authorities in this instance, the role of the provincial regulatory entities or the existing operating license boards, the National Land Transport Information System, or what I think everybody commonly knows it as the OLA system, or the Operating License Administrative Systems, and the location of the offices of the new entity that we are going to be setting up. In terms of background, firstly, is that the NPTR consists of a regulatory committee. So this will be a core committee that will be set up by the Minister. The Minister, in terms of the Act, has the prerogative to determine who sits on this committee to regulate interprovincial services and tourism transport services at the national level. That committee will also be supported by staff within the department, and then the function of the staff basically will be to do various verifications when applications are actually received. So the NPTR, as a regulatory committee, must decide on applications for accreditation of tourist transport operations or operators. This will involve, this accreditation system is actually a very different regulatory system as compared to the existing operating license system or the permit system as we have known it up to now. So as a first measure, we are going to be introducing this to the tourism sector, and if we find that if it works, we would extend that probably to the bus sector as well. So the accreditation system is different in the sense that the operating license systems, basically we assess the fitness of the person to run public transport. Secondly, we assess the fitness of vehicle to transport passengers. The accreditation system goes a step further. It basically assesses not only fitness of vehicle and the owner or the operator, it is looking at the business that you are running and the business operations that you are in fact running. So do you really have the requisite admin facilities? Do you have the requisite team that is actually going to do the maintenance of your vehicles? Are they qualified? A whole range of things that system actually, it's a much more deeper system, and we hope to begin to run with it from sometime this year. So this involves the following matters in terms of the regulations: is checking the applicant's record as an operator, ensuring that the applicant's vehicles are acceptable and roadworthy, ensuring that the applicant has an acceptable maintenance program or facilities for the vehicles and keeps proper maintenance records. Yes, with regard to maintenance facilities, it is expected. We are aware in the case of big tour operators, they have their own maintenance facilities. But in the case of the small tour operators, obviously you wouldn't have that. And what we would expect is that you would have an arrangement with a legitimate service provider, a garage or service center that is not a backyard type of operation, so that you can be accredited for the type of service or your maintenance records, ensuring that the applicant has adequate qualified backup staff and admin facilities. So this is in the instance where you have your own facilities. You will need to have trained mechanics and other technical staff that are taking care of all the maintenance of your vehicles and servicing your vehicles as well. The NPTR must undertake regular technical and operational monitoring of all accredited operators and see that the vehicles are serviced. So this is a monitoring function. Where persons apply to certified vehicles, the NPTR must check the documentation they must verify those documentation of those vehicles and see that they are compliant in terms of the road traffic regulations as well. The NPTR must conduct investigations under Regulation 5.3 at the request of the Minister or where it obtains information that there are problems. So where there are habitual offenders within the system, the Regulatory Committee, NPTR, has the powers to hold inquiries as well. The powers and functions of the NPTR, it will deal with interprovincial transport services, it will deal with tourism transport services through an accreditation type of system. It must monitor and oversee public transport in the country. It will set national standards and procedures. The powers of the NPTR in terms of Regulation 5 are that it can hold hearings and subpoena witnesses, hold investigations relating to land transport at the request of the Minister, and it can hold inquiry in relation to habitual offenders. There are other powers and functions that we think may be useful to be added on in time to come. These are particularly in relations to the Consumer Protection Act. There are certain provisions in the Consumer Protection Act that would affect you as public transport operators, as even tourism transport operators. And we have received comments from the rail operators, the bus operators, as well as taxi operators, that there are certain provisions in the CPA that would be problematic for them to in fact comply with those type of requirements over there. Our view is that in time, once the NPTR has been set up, it may be useful to take some of those 4 or 5 provisions that are in the CPA that are relevant to public transport and begin to formulate provisions that are more realistic, more pragmatic, and more something that you can in fact apply. It's not merely a theoretical thing. So for example, the CPA would say that you would require to, your ticket must have this type of information on front. At the back of the ticket, this is the type of information you should be having. Clearly, in fact, all of the taxi operators would not be able to provide that. In the case of other services, it says that you need to have timetables, a whole range of other information that needs to be displayed. We are quite aware that in the case of the public transport services, some of these provisions may be problematic, and we will need to find more appropriate solutions to that. So some of the functions of the CPA, we think the NPTR will be able to take over. The CPA Act allows for that. The structure is basically, there's a Chief Director, Public Transport Regulation within the department that has been established. It came into effect on the 1st of November. Hence, there has been some delays in the establishment of the NPTR as well. The study we had undertaken as a team is that our recommendation was that the NPTR should actually be established as a separate Chief Directorate. However, the view of the department at a higher level is that, listen, we are trying to set up a new institution, in which case it may be better for us to actually start small rather than big and learn the lessons and grow that institution as we move forward, rather than creating big bang institutions as the ones that we have at the moment, like the RTMC and other agencies of the department. The Regulatory Committee and the support staff, the committee is basically a quasi-judicial body, so it's an independent body. All decisions made by that body is completely independent, and not even the minister can in fact interfere with the decisions of that body. It will be made up of full-time and part-time members. For public participation and purposes, we advertise in the public domain for members of the public to nominate themselves or be nominated onto this committee, and taking account that there are certain provisions in the Act that you need to have certain skills like transport economics, legal, accounting, whole range of other type of requirements. If you fit into one of those, you could have applied to be sitting on this type of committee. The support staff have been appointed through matching and placing since the 1st of November. The standardized procedure manual has been developed, and the training manual has also been developed. The training of staff is basically going to be training with respect to the NLTA, the standardized procedure manual, and other matters. With regard to the regulatory committee, most of the training that will take place with them will be in relation to various pieces of legislation which they will be able to expect to know and understand and dispense accordingly. Options for inspectors, or the options for monitoring for us at this point, well, inspectors are basically that to monitor. So the monitoring function is basically to monitor various matters. For example, it will monitor vehicles, offices, facilities and records. So these are, on-site monitoring that will be done by qualified inspectors or agents. Ideally, our view is that there should be a chief inspector or chief monitor within each province, but those chief monitoring agents should in fact be people who actually understand the tourism industry from a tourism business point of view, rather than merely from a road traffic regulatory point of view. The problem is that operators are not evenly distributed within the provinces. According to SATSA, that's a tourism body, plus minus 500 members, or 80% are in Gauteng and Cape Town. So, in the rest of the other provinces, there are very few, and so you mainly have eThekwini, Nelson Mandela Bay, Buffalo City, and a few other centers, but there aren't that many tour operators over there. The majority are actually, that are SATSA members are actually medium to large operators, but there are many operators that are not members of SATSA. Those are your very small operators, and this is where the problems are going to be, because how do you monitor an operator with just one vehicle or two vehicles? So that's the area with regard to accreditation, where we're going to have, I think, a bit of a tough time implementing that program. The role of the traffic authorities will be we will be, as a department, enter into an MOU with the relevant traffic authorities, in this instance including the RTMC and the provincial traffic authorities, to ensure roadworthy checks and acceptability of vehicles, check the program of vehicle maintenance and servicing records, inspect and approve service facilities, an acceptable garage or service center, check if staff are suitably qualified in workshops or other facilities. In time, there will be requirements that those technical staff would have to actually undergo certain type of training as well. Check if the operator has an acceptable record for compliance. With regard to compliance, what we are saying, there are both technical compliance and operational compliance. Technical compliance is basically your service facilities, maintenance records and all of that. With regard to your operational side, you would need to be ensuring that you have decent admin facilities, admin records, compliance records with regard to traffic legislation. Do you have traffic fines, a track record of traffic fines and other matters, or traffic violations? Safety matters, do we have any track records with regard to that? Your tax compliance records, all those type of matters would have to be taken into account. So inspectors checking vehicles should be qualified as vehicle examiners. The role of the provincial regulatory entities will be, as a department, we will work in cooperation with them. As you know, they are the ones that are undertaking this function at this point in time, as Operating License Board, Provincial Operating License Board, and National will be taking over this function. So their function in future will be to receive and transmit applications to the NPTR, to the national level, determine cut-off date for the applications that are pending with that relevant PRE, and reroute those new applications to the national level, agree on a process of transfer of operator information and operator files, and identify areas of shared facilities and shared services. Shared services are mainly around the traffic officials as examiners that we as NPTR will be able to utilize in the provinces as well. The information system, I think all of you are aware, is actually is in dire straits. This technology was developed at the time when the Transition Act, National Land Transport Transition Act, came into being. And since then, that technology is a Microsoft technology. It has never been replaced, both the hardware and software, and so I think everybody knows that even Microsoft, because it's so old, has stopped supporting this technology. So it crashed in December 2010, and this has created huge problems for operators out there. It's in real terms, and provinces are actually struggling with application processing and dispensing of operating licenses and permits out there. There are many problems with that technology, and I won't go through that. But there is a plan within the department. There is a transport information system branch within the department. They are now working with the CITA, that's the State Information Technology Agency, and they've agreed with us that they need to fix this problem over here. And they've already had user workshops with users within all the provinces, and terms of reference have been defined, and I believe it will, an appointment should be made within the next 2 to 3 months of a service provider. Once a service provider has been appointed, those service providers will work with us, those of us who are dealing with the National Land Transport Act, because the provisions of the NLTA and its regulations, that will become the main content base of that information system, as well as the relevant operators, in this case the tour operators, for example. So the end of all of this process is that we cannot start the NPTR. We would not be able to start off the NPTR on an electronic system. So our intention is that we will not wait for the electronic system to be redesigned or re-engineered, and therefore we are going to be proceeding with a manual system initially until such time that the electronic system is up and running. The NPTR offices will be located at the Department of Transport, and we have set aside offices and other matters such as furniture and other equipment. We started putting all of that together. In time there will be a shift towards shared facilities and services at both national and provincial level, between national and provinces. The target dates are that we will appoint a regulatory committee by May 2012, and that we hopefully by June 2012 we will begin to receive applications as well. The person who is presently driving this whole process over here, her name is Namsa Machweni. She's the director responsible for this function over here. And her telephone number is listed there below, as well as her email address. You are welcome to keep in touch with her so that you are aware of the processes that are occurring, and any other inquiries that you would like to make. She's actually seated somewhere there at the back. She is here in the auditorium. Thank you so much.
Thank you.